when doing my therapist will ask me, how did you feel? Go back to when you were 2 years old. And I always told him, I never really felt anger. It was a lot of shame. Yeah, it was a lot of shame, a lot of that's what it was for me. It was just a lot of shame. A lot of shame and abuse, and it was just something that you just learn to live with. I heard that voice. I sat down in my little kiddish chair, and the voice comes to me and says, you need to forgive your mom. Because at that time I was so angry with my mom. I did not understand what she was going through, because she was going through so much. She was going through so much beatings. She was going through so much public humiliation. That was what it was. A lot of humiliation. Hi, get ready with me to go for a women's program while I unpack the last few posts that you guys have seen me talking about my experience with my mom. If you haven't seen it, just scroll down somewhere, you're going to see it. So yeah, a lot of people have been genuinely shocked. A lot of people have called me. A lot of people have been like, are you okay? And I'm like, let me come and do this video so you guys can see me. I'm fine. Like, last 9 months have sat with the whole experience for the past, I'm 33, and for the past 33 years, that's to my consciousness. Like, I've sat with it, I've ruminated upon it, I've screamed, I've laughed. Sometimes I would scream my lungs. I've cried, I've done all of it. But I had to come to that point of, look, this pain, this experience cannot be wasted. Do you understand? It can't be wasted. There's no shame in having this type of stories or this type of... I feel like I'm one of those people that you don't meet us plenty in our lifetimes, because, child, my life is a walking movie, and that's why we're going to tell these stories. That's what I told myself. We've always been a storyteller. People have always gossiped about these things. Like, my family growing up was always the center of a lot of gossip and local gossip. So we are going to gossip about it together. There's no other person to tell my story than me, Jonah. We may fictionalize it, okay, so that yeah, let's just do it. We're going to do it like we're going to resatisfy my life experience, you understand? But there's no shame. Like, when you're someone who has always been the one that people come and trauma dump, they are going through something, they come and trauma dump, and you just realize that, look, internalizing some of these things, like my therapist will say, don't repress your emotions, call it for what it is. I've been mad, I've been angry, I've gone through the entire, and you see, when you are sitting with pain and all this type of things, because I'm not going to lie that no, it's a lot of pain, it's a lot of shame. That's what it is. When I was when doing my therapy, my therapist will ask me, how did you feel? Go back to when you were 2 years old. And I always told him, I never really felt anger. It was a lot of shame. Yeah, it was a lot of shame, a lot of that's what it was for me. It was just a lot of shame. A lot of shame and abuse, and it was just something that you just learn to live with it. Like, you have to come out, and you just learn to live with it. Like, okay, this is my experience, I would live and create the best out of it. How I was able to function in all the dysfunctionality. I don't know. I feel like it's God. Because the first time I heard the voice of the Holy Spirit, I was 9 years old. I remember, I will never forget that day. It was one of those topsy-turvy days where people had gathered to settle fights. Yeah, well, that was my life. Like, we're always, church members will always come and settle fights. It was a recurring decimal. So at this point, and it was one of those days, it was a terrible fight or something like that. I remember, but I just want to talk about why I'm fine and why you should really not be disturbed for me. Do you understand? If you like me, you love me. This is my path. So I heard that voice. I sat down in my little kiddish chair, and the voice comes to me and says, "You need to forgive your mom." Because at that time, I was so angry with my mom. I did not understand what she was going through, because she was going through so much. She was going through so much beatings. She was going through so much public humiliation. That was what it was, a lot of humiliation. And so who is the person she would take it all out on? Is the person that is next to her, the person that is her child. And even though I'm her only child, she never treated me that way. So at that point, I had so much annoyance and anger. Like, other children, they're spoiling them, they're living their best life. Like, why am I the one that has to be going through all of this? You guys, I may have to split these videos, okay? So that, yeah. And the voice came very strongly and said, "You need to forgive your mom." And I was like, "Can't you see the way these people are embarrassing me? Can't you look at what they are doing?" And the voice was like, "No." It was very clear and very, and that's the first time I started hearing what I now know is the Holy Spirit. And I'm grateful that in all of this, the Holy Spirit has been my companion and friend from that day when I heard that voice. Because when people like, how did you grow up in such dysfunctionality? I'm like, it's God. When I went to bury her, someone called me from my secondary school, I think a week or 2 weeks. Thank you very much. That day that you called me, you don't know what you did for me that day. It made me feel seen, like, oh God, you are thinking of me. Because a lot of times is God giving me messages about people. At some point in my life, I'm like, Holy Spirit, I don't want to know what anybody is going through. Let them go through whatever they are going through. I'm going through my own. So she called me and she was like, oh, she had this dream and she didn't know how she was going to tell me. And so I was like, what's the dream? And I can't mention it now because it's not yet time. All right, this is me just unpacking. And I'm like, oh my God. And she was like, I was really angry about where I grew up in, and I was doing certain things in the dream. And she was like, is that top way? And I was like, my God. I said, well, that's what it is. I can't divulge a lot of things yet, but that she should pray for me. And I think that's like a week after my mom died. Because me, this month of November is going to make it 11 years that I got married. And how do I put it now? I had learned to disassociate myself with my whole growing up experience. Like, it was part of my coping mechanism. So there are a lot of things that I don't remember. Like, I truly forgot about those things. And so when my mom died, and it's like confronting your demon, so to speak, like confronting a part of yourself that you had told yourself you had blocked it out of your memory, you had blocked it out of everything about yourself, that you don't even remember how bad it was. Because now going through therapy, separating myself, taking myself out of the situation and standing outside and looking inward, it was terrible. No child should grow in that situation. There's absolutely no justification for it, okay? And so I told her, I said, just pray for me. That's all you can do for me, because at that point, I won't say I couldn't process it. Maybe I had years and years of processing something. It was like the climax when my mom, when I got the news that she passed. It was a climax. And why was it the climax? Because our last conversations was filled with so much trauma. She would call me, she would cry, she would tell me a lot of dirty stuff that we are going, like, I said we're going to recertify this whole thing, because it's not my business if anybody's ashamed. You will chop your shame. Go chop up. You are going to chop it. Everybody will chop. The last 9 months has been me incubating, thinking, you know, and at some point I was like, okay, let me just forget about this whole thing. But I my mom has been flashing in my face, like, I'm accepting it now. It is what it is. I'm very is it clairvoyant? Is that what it's called? I don't know if that's the right word. But for as long as I could remember, in fact, because of the trauma, I pushed those things away. When I was growing up, if something is going to happen tomorrow, it will flash, and I'll watch it like a drama, and the next day it was going to happen. And it was always the nonsense that was going on when I was growing up. So at some point I was like, okay, maybe this is why I'm always saying these things. I don't want to see it, I don't want to know. And that's one of the reasons why I don't like getting close to people, because if I stay around you for too long, I'm gonna unpack you. I'm going to know the things that it's a secret, but it just comes to me. So for years, I don't like to, you see, all those type of that part of myself. I just like, no, I don't want this. I don't need this. I just want to play. I just want to dance. I just want to laugh. I just want to be that lightweight. But yeah, it's me. It's part of me. So we embrace it. So since my mom died, that thing has been coming strong. I'll just be doing something random. Maybe I'm editing a video or something, and it's like they're playing a movie, and I'm watching things. I'm like, is this what happened? And I'm like, no, it can't be. Then I oh my god. Then I go back to sleep. Then it comes back again. Like, there's, you can't run away from this thing. And I'm like, oh my god. And every time she sometimes it flashes, and it's like, tell my story. I'm like, I don't want to involve myself, but now she's gone. Like, she's gone, and she's really, really gone, and it's nothing. I can't do anything about it. That, yeah, we're going to tell the story. Yeah, we have to tell the story now. What else can we do? We tell the story, all right. And one of the things that I'm grateful for, knowing God personally and knowing him for myself in the midst of these trials and tribulations. There are certain things that nobody can teach you, in the sense that, excuse me, you know how people may want to mask certain things, but because the last 30 something years has been me being in the shadows. I've always been that person that is in the shadows. I know everything that is going on. Like, I pretend not to know, but best believe I know. It's maybe I don't just want to confront it. I just want to pretend like it's not there. But in all of that, I got to know God for myself. Like, when I mean I got to know God for myself, I met God in a dirty place. When you say dirty place, I met God in a very, very dirty place. And he just guided me, to be honest, because I think of a lot of times that I could have gone left, and it wasn't because maybe my parents were teaching me the Bible, because if it's by that one, no, 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 no. Nope. If it's by that one, nope. In fact, I would have been a problem child because it was so much rubbish. Do you understand? So much rubbish. But in that circumstance, in that place, the Holy Spirit started talking to me. Until date, the Holy Spirit is the only person that I have. Like you say, you have somebody because if not for the Holy Spirit, they would have banned me. Hey, they would have shown me reggae, raga, pepe, huh? But you see, this Holy Spirit that has been my person since I was 9 and had guided me, saved me from poisoning, saved me from so many things. It has just been a constant in all these experiences. I'm just like, oh, maybe that's the only thing I can say. This whole thing made me know God, and I knew God. Do you understand? I knew God because how do you go? When I went back to where I grew up, you guys, I stood. I was like, it was my friends that were reminding me of a lot of things. So me, I'd forgotten because, like I said, I blocked it out of my memory. Like, I don't want to remember those things. And the first thing I was like, God, thank you. I don't know how you helped me in this place. I don't even understand it myself. If I tell you that I understand it is a lie, I don't know how God helped me, but he did. Okay, he did. Like, I would go to school, I would get good grades because the books were like my escape mechanism. So books, prayer was my I had to pray. I had to pray. I had to learn how to pray. Because you can just be sleeping and maybe somebody will come and hit your head. So I had to learn how to pray for my own safety. So I went back there, and my mom's passing was like the climax. You know, when, like, is this how this whole thing finally ended? This is the end. This is what it is. And it's painful, but you realize that, well, certain cycles have to close out, and her passing is like, that's the ultimate. Like, she has paid with her life. It's the ultimate, it's the end. Now what are you going to do about this whole thing? And it's like, you have to, when they say phonics rising, yeah, that's my state of mind. That's how I feel. That's how I am right now. Like, and to be honest, I'm grateful now thinking about it. I'm grateful that it is my real life experience. It is what it is. Like, it is what it is. And I'm grateful to God that he trusted me to go through that I'm not a drug addict, that I did not die of mental issues. It's God, okay? Because most people cannot go through half. I've not started telling these stories. I've not started. But I said we are going to recertisa this whole thing because we're going to tell the story, okay? Myself and my mother have been subject of gossip for the last whatever years, so we're going to gossip it with the whole world. It's okay, it's fine. But I'm just grateful. Like, I think about it sometimes. I'm like, God, I don't know why what you saw that you decided that is this person that does not like trouble, that you decide to put in all of this trouble and chaos. But I am grateful. I'm thankful that I can articulate myself now, because to be honest, for the past 9 months, I have not been able to articulate myself, like, because I was just trying to unpack a lot of things, and I'm like, so, like, let me not go back, but I'm grateful that I'm at this point that I can articulate without being angry. Like, there's no anger. When I say there's no anger, there's really no anger. This is me um sharing. Do you understand? Sharing, because if you keep all these things inside, it will find a way to express itself. So we are going to express it one way or the other. And so thanks to everyone who has called me and said, "Are you okay?" I'm fine. I'm very, very fine. Like, I am really, really fine. But a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do, right? So I just said, let me have this chit chat as I'm going for a program. So to every woman out there, to every young child who is probably in that situation right now, and you're like, when is it all going to end? Look, it may never end in a good way. But you see, God says that when you go through the fire, I'm going to be right there with you inside that fire. And I feel like, I don't feel that's my life testimony, because God has been with me inside the fire. I'm still in the fire. You understand? It's just that we are going to transmute this fire, and we are going to make it into something beautiful, right? So yeah, so I'm fine, guys. I'm really, really fine. Thank you for, I'm not going to trauma dump on you guys, don't worry, but I'm going to tell the story. And to be honest, if you feel uncomfortable, it's fine, because I am going to attract my soul's tribe. I'm going to attract the people that I am sent to. Okay, and this is not even about me trying to be the face of anything. No, this is me just living my life. I don't have who to share the stories with. Like, I don't have brothers or sisters. Okay, yeah, I will have my own plenty children. Okay, yes, because I have to have battalions of children. It's not funny growing up without somebody to share this experience with. It was only me. I was the only one, right? Every other person, yes, they might have been there, but they were outsiders. It wasn't their story. It wasn't their experience. It was just me. Okay, so you people, I'm going to share it with the whole world. Yes, it's time for me to share my mother's story, anyhow, fictional or real life. Anyone, we are going to share it. Okay, so I'm going to tell you, I've become a storyteller. Like, I've always said it, that I have so much stories to tell. So welcome to the era of Talk by the Storyteller. To the era of Talk by the Storyteller. Sit down and relax and enjoy the stories. It's going to be a long ride, but we are going to tell the story. So you guys, thank you. Yeah, let me get ready and show you guys what I'm going to wear. I don't know if I'm going to, how are we going to do this now? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put some parts on Instagram and TikTok. The rest, you should go and watch it on YouTube, okay? Because this is 22 minutes. I just wanted to come and say thank you, but we have done 22 minutes already. Yeah, so thank you. Let me dress up and show you guys what I'm wearing. All right, let's go. Come with me.